wonderful. How about yourself?
That's good. I'm good too. Well, so yeah, this is our third live, which is awesome. We're gonna keep doing this every Wednesday, talking about very important topics for businesses, how we can help employees, people, etc. And today we're going to talk in a very, very important topic for businesses, and is the strategies of attain and retain employees. How
Hmm.
important is this? Yeah.
That is your entire company. So the people you have in your company, that is your company. It's what you identify as, it's who you are. So bringing in the right people and keeping them has almost got to be the number one most important thing you work on, because those are the people that do all of the things that are going to make your company successful.
Yes, I
So,
totally agree.
yeah.
Let's go with some questions that usually we get in this topic. So, what are some innovative strategies to attract top talent in a competitive job market? What will be the ones that you will suggest as a strategies?
So it's almost kind of like dating, right? If I'm trying to attract the best people to come work for me, what is it that I offer? Or why is it that they want to come work for me? So it's like kind of like dating. If I'm out and I'm trying to find the right person for me, why would they be with me? So I think the first thing a company needs to do before they go try to find the right people is they need to identify who are they? What are my strengths as a company? Why do I work here? Why does my partner work here? Why do my managers work here? What is it? Is it just a paycheck? Because you can get a paycheck anywhere. What is it about where we are? What is it about our company that makes people want to come here? Once you identify that, then the sales pitch is quite easy, because now you're looking for somebody who's looking for the same thing. If you're looking for somebody who's just trying to make a ton of money, there's a place for that person, but that's not going to be the nucleus of your company. So when you ask, what is it that makes you attractive, is you got to find out what is it that you want to be attractive for, and are you
Right.
that? And then find the people who are looking for that. Like there's
That's
some
true.
positions there's companies right now that are focusing on only remote jobs, and there are a ton of people out there who just want to work remote. Guess what? They're going to land a lot more people than we are, because we don't like that. We do remote, but here people come in the office and they're 10 times more successful. So that's what we're pushing here. But again, every company's different. So that's how you find the people, is what you are.
What about work culture, Sia? Let's say we
Mm.
already have really nice employees in the company. How can we maintain a very, very nice work culture to keep them retained in the company?
So that's funny. It's your culture is dictated from the top, and it's enforced through all the managerial levels, through all the leadership levels. So the first thing is you have to identify what is our culture. Some companies are, we are a boiler room. We are here to work 12 hours a day, nonstop, bop, 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 bop. And some companies are, you know what, we're going to work. I saw one of our clients has a 980 schedule. That means they work 80 hours in 9 days. So every other Friday they have off. It's a much more lax atmosphere. Identify what is your culture. And then once you identify your culture, make sure everybody's on board with it. And then you're going to realize you're going to keep the people who want to be part of that culture. And then the most important thing you can do is you have to cut out any cancers that disrupt that. And a lot of times that comes at the leadership level. You might have managers that don't fall in line with your culture. You have to remove them, because they will create a lot of dysfunction within the organization.
That's true. And not only that, if you don't feel also happy in the place you're working with, that's contagious to other people as well. They will sense that and they will feel that you're not happy there. So why would Another question I get very common is what type of programs can companies implement during day by day to encourage retention and satisfaction for the employees inside the company?
So, hmm, that is that's a good question. So when you're talking about professional development, this is a it's kind of like the catch 22 in business. What happens if we spend all this time, money, resources in training our people and then they leave us? And then there's the second part of that question is what if we don't and they stay? So what I always found is you invest your time, money, and resources in the people that want to have the time, money, and resources invested in them. Those are the people. I have a joke in my office. I know who's working and who's not working. They're the ones in my office. If you're consistently asking me questions, if we're always going over something, trying something, doing something together, I know you're working. If you're dodging me, then I know you're not doing anything. So the ones that are in my office all the time, the ones who are always asking me questions, they're calling me at 7 o'clock at night. Hey man, I just thought about this. What do you think about this? Those are the people you invest in. Those are the people you develop because whether they know it or not, that's the future of my company. That's the future of whatever I'm trying to grow. That's the future. That's where you put your investment in. So when you ask like, what can you do? Spend time with them. The number one thing you can do to develop with somebody is to spend time with them, especially if they're younger. Spend time with them. Teach them what you've learned. Hopefully, they don't have to make the mistakes you made. If you can cut out 2 steps out of a 5-step process for them, they're going to be that much more successful faster. So, number one thing with professional development, spend time with them. Take them to lunch with you. Take them to a meeting that you're going to, that's your meeting. Take them with you. Have them learn. Just tell them don't say anything, obviously, but just learn. A lot of development comes from experience and interaction. Do that.
Now, you were saying that when, in your company people are working and not working. What about measurements of satisfaction in employees? Is there a way to measure how happy they are? Is there a way to, I don't know, if you, for example, in your company, you have constant communication with them, how can you measure if they're happy in the company?
So happiness is the way I always measure happiness is are my employees trying to get their friends jobs here? Are they trying to get people that they know to work here? That is like the easiest way to figure that out. Like, hey, listen, a friend of mine, I think they'd be great here because they know where they work is a place they can be successful and they know their friend can be successful as well. So it is a fantastic, fantastic indicator of happiness if they're trying to bring their friends and their peers to come work with you or work with them here. Other things we look at is how are they doing in their personal lives? If they had a goal to buy a home 2 years ago and they still haven't bought that home, what's going on? What's going on? Is there something that they're not doing here? Is there something they're not getting here that they need to get? Just little things like that. Do they have hobbies outside of work? When you see them coming in like happy on a Monday, that's a good sign. If they look like they're coming in, they're doing this, and that's not a good sign. Like nobody here is upset to be here on a Monday. We know the weekend's over, but it's not like we're not having fun here.
Yeah, no, that's true. And also, I think I can add to that in the marketing perspective. And it's also when employees share everything in their social media as part of their job in their personal lives. I think that's so good when they're happy with their job and that actually they are adding it to their personal lives. So when they share, they comment, they just, like you said, they want to invite people to the company. They feel proud and they feel like ambassadors of the brand.
Mhm.
That's, I think, is very rewarding for the company and for them too. Now we have another question, and it's about leadership. That's one of the things we talked the previous live, but it's more about how can leadership styles in management impact employee retention and success? Do you think if, for example, the management is very strict, is going to impact that retention from the employees, or if it's very lax, like you said, it's going to be super flexible too?
Leadership, and it kind of goes back to the development. Some people may think your boss taking you to lunch is micromanaging, like, oh my God, they won't leave me alone. Versus some people would look at it as, hey, this is great. I got extra time. I can pick his brain, see what's going on. What can I do differently? Da, da, da. It really depends on the person. Some people love micromanagement. Some people want to tell you what they're doing every hour on the hour. Some people want you to touch base with them Friday afternoons once. So that is When it comes to employee retention and success, the retention when it comes to leadership has more to do with the culture you've created than it does your day-to-day interactions, because I think it's kind of one and the same. In the sense of if you've created like a super competitive, high energy office, and you're pushing that, and you've got feedback from 4 out of the 5 people, and that fifth person just isn't, they're not doing that. It doesn't matter how you manage them, they're gonna go, because they don't like that environment. So leadership styles and just be supportive, be encourage their development, make sure you're always there. If you say you're going to do something, do that thing. If you don't do that thing, they're going to lose trust in you.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And I do think it impacts too. You want to feel also care from the people that are, there for you.
Mm-hmm.
We have some questions. We have 10 minutes left for our 20 minutes live. If you guys are there watching us, don't forget to question us. And Sia is here for all the questions. But we always have questions in the back end, Sia, from people that want to hear from you.
Sure.
And one of the questions is that Juan is asking us, can you share some practical strategies that you have implemented to improve employee retention? Do you have any that you have actually did?
So the first thing I can think of is I try to empower my people as much as possible. And the reason for that is I want them to feel like they have ownership of a project. I don't want them to feel like a cog in the wheel. I want them to feel like they are the reason this project is successful or not. We had one young lady when I first got here. She was very shy, she was very timid. She was scared every time I went to talk to her. And then finally I got to the point where all what I wanted to see is like, what is she capable of? So I just kept giving her stuff to do. I kept pushing her, kept giving her the ability to do what she wanted. And then what we started realizing was she was capable of so much more. And now she's like an integral part of what we do. She like connects all the dots here for us. So a lot of it is give them ownership. Don't tell them what to do. Tell them what you need and let them figure it out. And that's really the biggest thing for me is to empower them. Give them the ability to be successful.
I think that's wonderful. We have one question from the chat, and is what should we do to encourage employee development?
How do you encourage employee development? You can't really encourage employee development if they don't want it on their own. But it kind of goes back to the empowering them, right? If you give them a task and they feel that they are not ready for it, you ask them, what is it that you're missing? What else do you need? And then you can work on that. Like I have a young lady we hired who right now she's shy, she's a little nervous because of objections. So what do we do? I don't want to say we force her, but we have like 2 or 3 times a week, we'll just do objection handling where we'll pretend to be the customer and she will try to get what she wants, and we'll just give her roadblock after roadblock after roadblock just so she's more comfortable with it and realize you can overcome the objections. So it's a lot of it is how do you encourage employee development is give them the tools to be more successful, and then they'll start using them.
Yes. We have a question from Paul, and he's asking, Sia, do you think there are different methods for a small businesses versus long businesses, like a big businesses, with differences in budget to attain and retain employees? Do you think this is very different for this type of businesses?
Very different. Very, very different. So I came from corporate America, and there is so many layers from the top to the bottom that a lot of times the message is going to get convoluted versus being in a small business where I am now. The message is the message. Everybody's on board or everybody's out. It's like the message is the message. Like this is our goal. Versus where I came from was a big Fortune 500 company, and what could have been said at the C level by the time it got down to where we were, it was a completely separate message. So what I would tell corporate America, larger companies, is allow your business to run as multiple small businesses. and hold them accountable at a business unit level, and you will see exponential returns. Support them individually, support them as a whole, but let them run individually. Let them run as a small business. Give them a budget. They have to stay profitable. Give them what their goals are, and then how do they reach it? Way, way different. Way, way different.
Thank you, Sia. And I hope that responses to Paul. Amy is asking, Sia, how can organizations mitigate burnout among employees to ensure long-term engagement and satisfaction?
Yeah. So this is actually a fun one. I dealt with this a lot early on, especially in sales. Especially in sales. Sales that tend to have not a longer sales cycle. Burnout's a big thing. So what I always tried to do was make the job as easy as possible for our sales reps, because the easier we can make it, the less likely they are to get burnt out. If I can get them to do better work in 3 hours than like poor work over 8 hours, they're never going to leave because they're going to be more successful and have to work less. That was a huge, huge thing that we worked on, is how do you make their jobs easier? Now people always ask me, oh, okay, that's a lot easier said than done. So I agree, it is easier said than done. So here's one thing that we did that made it a lot easier. So in the sales that we had, everything was on a lease. So what we did was we wanted to identify, instead of having say 1,000 people in our pipeline, well, those 1,000 people all can't buy today. Well, first thing we want to identify is, when is their window to buy? If they just signed a 5-year lease, they're not going to be buying for the next 3 or 4 years. So what we did is we didn't put an emphasis on making those phone calls today. We made those emphasis 3 years from now. So now that's a third. So now we're down to, okay, from that 1,000, now we're down to 600. Then we took that 600 and we broke that down additionally over the course of the next 3 years. When are we calling these people? What we found out is, instead of making 1,000 calls a month, we were making 50 calls a month, 60 calls a month, but we were making much better phone calls. We knew everything about them. We researched the hell out of them. We knew what they had. We knew when their leases were coming up. We knew they were in the window. We visited them. It made the reps' job so much easier, and they made so much more money. This kind of goes to culture. Being in a smart culture kind of helps too.
Yeah, that's true. And the final question of our live, Sia, is, can we retain a happy ex-employee? Do you think we can make them like brand ambassadors even when they already left the company?
Of course. Of course. The best thing you can do in a leadership level is to grow somebody and to develop somebody. And sometimes they may grow so big that they have to grow away from you. Like if you're a small business, there's only so big you can get. If they're on pace to be the next CEO of your company and you're not ready to step down as a CEO, what are you going to do? What you can do is you can work together. If he's going to open his own business, you work together with him or her to develop their business, and you become a partner of theirs. You're leaving on great terms, because at the end of the day, you've created another small business owner in the country. You're cultivating an environment of success. So absolutely, there's a way to do that. Absolutely. Like, I'm not upset with my last employer at all. I'm still an advocate for him. Great people, great place.
And I think that being happy actually in your ex job, it makes you even better in the present job too, because you feel, connected still with the past, and the things you learned there is helping you grow from your present. Sia, thank you so much for your time. We have 20 minutes, as always, in our Wednesday, our Wisdom Wednesday. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for the chat, for the people that are joining us. Don't forget to follow us on our social media at CTI Staffing. We are on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and what else are we missing? I think all of them: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook too. So don't forget to follow us, and don't forget to expect a new topic for the next Wednesday. We're gonna have more topics to talk about employee sales, leadership, and even more, just to help you grow in how CTI staffing can make an impact on that. So yeah, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much.